I want you to think about something that could kill 8 million people each year. 8 million people is one in every five of us. According to a study conducted by Harvard University, published February 9th by Leah Burrows, carbon emissions is at fault. It is time to introduce a carbon tax. A carbon tax is implemented on businesses that are releasing surplus amounts of carbon dioxide into the air we breathe. As a student studying to go into environmental business with a minor in earth and sustainability, I learn every day the importance of reducing our emissions. It is up to us to push for this change. By influencing our political leaders, we can make it happen. The United States government should implement a carbon tax. Climate change is the most pressing issue in the world today, one of its many causers being American businesses. In order to address this, the carbon tax is necessary. The need for this policy stems from the negative impact that greenhouse gas emissions have on the environment. As mentioned, at the current rate, one in every five of us is affected and could die from carbon emissions each year. NASA published on their website in August of 2021 how these emissions are being released. The article states that humans are causing these greenhouse gases to enter the atmosphere, trapping the heat. In this picture I'm about to show you, there's a diagram of how it works. The sun comes in with the heat into our atmosphere, and with our greenhouse gases trapping the heat, isn't allowed to exit. It isn't allowed to escape the atmosphere, causing the temperature on Earth to warm and the ocean temperature to rise. The National Geographic article published in May of this year explains, because of this trapped heat, global climate change is causing droughts, more frequent hurricanes, tropical storms, altering ocean temperatures, and sea level rise. The sea level rise is soon enough, we're going to see cities underwater, countries underwater, thousands, millions of people having to relocate because of this. It is detrimental to the habitats of animals and is affecting the livelihoods of humans as well. For example, the towns that rely on fishing are now being forced to relocate because areas that were once plentiful with fish have now migrated to more suitable water temperatures, leaving the fishermen behind. We see an example of the fishermen in these pictures in countries that can't afford to lose their main resource. We also see a picture here of the polar bear whose resources are depleted. The ice is melting. And then right below, we see another picture that was published by the United Nations in 2021. And it describes what an increase in each temperature would do. A 1.5 degree increase is what we're going to aim for. We're at a point where we can't stop climate change all of a sudden. The 2-degree mark is what we agreed in the Paris Climate Agreement that we should not exceed. We have to do everything in our power to make sure we stay below that limit. Because if we get to plus 3 degrees, we will reach the point of no return, and it will be too late to fix what we've already done. We are currently at an all-time high for these emissions in our atmosphere. One of the most abundant greenhouse gases causing this harm to our planet is carbon dioxide, which is released by human-run industries. Businesses and industries are at the forefront of causing this harm. According to information on EPA.gov, which is the Environmental Protection Agency, the United States is responsible for 6.558 million metric tons of carbon dioxide being released into our atmosphere. 80% of all greenhouse gas emissions is carbon dioxide. Natural gas, electricity, fuel oil, and motor companies are at the heart of this issue, releasing the most carbon in the air, according to an EY article published last May. Businesses have prioritized profits and revenue over their consumers' health. This next visual aid I'm providing out some of the companies that are at fault for this. They're the 20 companies most responsible for emissions. I'm sure many of you recognize at least few of these companies. A change needs to be made to deplete the emissions from these industries. The solution to deplete the high amounts of carbon in the atmosphere in the United States is a carbon tax. A carbon tax is a tax imposed by a government to reduce fossil fuel emissions in a nation. According to C2ES.org, most recently updated last month, under the carbon tax, the government sets a price that emitters must pay for each ton of greenhouse gas emissions they emit. therefore lowering emissions in the country and saving lives. By making this mandate, companies will need to investigate new ways of conducting business to reduce their carbon footprint. Some companies will not be able to last under this implementation, but the well-established and eco-friendly companies will thrive. The carbon tax will spark a new need for green innovation. Groups such as Citizens Climate Lobby and Climate Leadership Council have expressed their vigorous support of the carbon tax. The United States will not be the first to take climate action by implementing a carbon tax. Earth.org lists 27 countries that have taken part in similar policy, such as this: Canada, South Korea, Denmark, the United Kingdom, Japan, Sweden. All countries very well developed in similar states to the United States have implemented this policy already. All of these countries have reduced their greenhouse gas emissions significantly. They have taken the right step to a better, cleaner future. It is due time for a carbon tax, and it is only just to penalize industries for harming the environment and the people in it. To understand the need for a carbon tax involves understanding the problem at hand: greenhouse gas emissions and climate change. Exposing those who cause such detriment to Earth is necessary for a future on this Earth. The United States government should implement a carbon tax. The world cannot continue to operate under such lackadaisical regulation. It is time to put an end to climate change, and the carbon tax can be the first big step taken in order to do that. Thank you.